Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you very much. For you to support my voice means a great deal to me, and I just thank you. If you haven't subscribed to Anthony Brian Logan, please subscribe to him. He's fantastic. I have continuously stated over the years that he's awesome. He has a very poignant and powerful segment on what's taking place, especially with another horrific tragedy that we'll get to. It just shows how counterproductive and how counterproductive and insidious all of this is. But Anthony Brian Logan has a very, very poignant and powerful segment. A police chief who was defending his friend's business, a black man, former police chief, his life was taken. And it's just really horrendous. But so watch that segment from Anthony Brian Logan. It's a really important segment. Eric H526, thank you. Hello, H. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Thank you. Thank you, Eric H526. Thank you, Luke St. Martin. Eric, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you, as always, Eric H526, for all your help and work and everything. You too, Luke St. Martin. Thank you. Orange Grove 55. The other channel has changed direction. Will the Bizarro character make an appearance again? He was funny. You know, Orange Grove 55, I'm sure he will. I am sure he will. But I'm just going to try to focus. I'll have a H.A. Goodman hyperbole translator right after this segment, in addition to an H.A. Goodman's other channel. So subscribe to those channels below, everybody. So yeah, he definitely will make a segment, a bunch of appearances from now until November, and I'm sure past November too. But ladies and gentlemen, Rod Rosenstein, thank you, Orange Grove 55, and Eric H526, as always, Eric H526, thank you. Rod Rosenstein he testified today. He made a great many admissions that he did not, and this is the biggest issue with Rosenstein's testimony, and we'll get to Tom Fitton and Greg Jarrett and John Solomon in a second. He did not do any independent investigation. As one of the top, he was the Assistant Attorney General. He did not do any independent investigation as to whether or not the Steele dossier was accurate, as to whether or not there was a reason to investigate Carter Page or George Papadopoulos or Michael Flynn or President Trump. He did not do any independent investigation. And this is important, okay? How can you begin a special counsel? And he was even trying to allude to the fact that you don't need Congress for a special counsel, apparently. You don't need anything. You can just go ahead and start a special counsel, apparently, if you have any reason to believe somebody is guilty. So where is the Uranium One special counsel? Where's that? Because there are a whole lot of people who believe that Madam Secretary, who will be nominee, and others are very guilty. But apparently, Rod Rosenstein did not verify the accuracy of the Steele dossier. That's number one. He did not verify the accuracy of Alexander Downer's statements, which were basically gossip and hearsay to the FBI. He did not verify, nor did he nor did he even ask. He never asked McCabe or Strzok or Clapper or Brennan or Comey whether or not the underlying intelligence warranted investigations into President Trump. He never asked these things. The bottom line is that there was never any evidence. James Clapper stated from the very beginning he was highly to moderately confident. There was never any evidence. There was just suspicion, confidence, and suspicion. And just on real quickly, I have a small but interesting, perhaps somewhat influential, who knows, voice. I have 3 channels. My biggest one is this channel, about 150,000 subs. All 3 that I have, H.A. Goodman's other channel and H.A. Goodman's Hyperbole Translator will definitely do a lot. I'll have a lot more subs, especially because I'm the only person who stated since 2017 that Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. So I'm not worried about my sub count or, how many people know who I am. But I will say this. If I was on the left saying that there were peaceful people, everything was peaceful, I would be out also marching, protesting out on the streets. And I'm wondering why all your favorite pundits on the left, and I'm wondering why all your favorite celebrities who are paying bail, and I'm wondering why all your favorite liberal Democratic politicians aren't alongside the masses of people who are apparently very peaceful. Now, generally, I think that the majority is peaceful, I would say, but that is almost irrelevant now because there are curfews in every major city, and you've had millions upon millions of dollars in property damage, and then you had a man who should have been alive today that Anthony Brian Logan talked about. And here's a man who is an African-American man, retired St. Louis police captain, and he lost his life responding to his friend's business. And so his name is David Dorn, retired St. Louis police captain. So I don't understand. I mean, the Rod Rosenstein, look, I've been saying it forever. We're going to go to Tom Fitton right now and his tweets and Greg Jarrett and John Solomon. I've written about this in the Federalist. Rush Limbaugh shared my article in the Federalist. Why is everything linked to Clinton? And that's below in the pinned comment. But here you have a man. How many lives? First of all, you had media and Democrats gleefully telling you they're just trying to save your life with the pandemic, that you have to shut down and everything has to close. And all the smartest people in the room said close everything, shut down everything. And now you have, right when the country is trying to open up, you have this. And then you have liberals and Democrats and media saying, well, Trump is going after the American people. No, he's not. He's protecting the American people. And how many times does he have to say that he supports peaceful, law-abiding citizens who are expressing their First Amendment rights? He has continually stated this. And Democrats don't understand that they're going to lose. First of all, they've already lost the election. Voter turnout is going to be horrendous for Democrats. They'll get over 60 million people, but they won't get the turnout in cities needed to ensure that to overcome or to address the turnout that's going to take place in suburban areas and in rural areas for President Trump. They don't understand this. They live in their own world where, this tyrant is now trying to play authoritarian. They don't see that, okay, people had a chance now to get back to work. Trump has continually stated, let's get back to work, just be safe. Everyone else is saying, oh my God. Democrats and media said, oh my God, how could you get back to work now? Now the social distancing has gone out the window, just as the brick has gone into the window. And so they went from Russia to Ukraine to Stormy to Avenatti to this to... They're apoplectic. Democrats and media are apoplectic, hysterical all the time, only engage in hyperbole, which is why please go ahead. Below is H.A. Goodman's hyperbole translator. And you have these false equivalencies, these absurd statements of like pseudo-morality. Well, if you're upset because of the unrest, then, if you're more upset we don't have Medicare for all, it's like, what are you going to do? This is the way you get legislation. You set businesses ablaze until you get legislation. I mean, notice, this is why I'm asking, like, where are all these progressives, and why aren't they taking videos alongside all the peaceful people? Because there are a lot of peaceful people. The reason is they're playing a game. Media, everybody from CNN to your favorite YouTube pundit on the left, to your favorite journalist on the left, is playing a game. They're playing they're playing a sad, very, very pathetic game. What they're playing is the following. They're saying that Trump is an authoritarian and that he's going after American citizens. They're forgetting to tell you that not all of the protests are peaceful, and furthermore, it's the governors and mayors who are asking Trump to keep the National Guard in their states longer, and with federal funding. In addition to that, the average American, and I'll go ahead and do a segment on this a little later on, because the RNC is moving from North Carolina to another location. So the RNC convention is moving. So, I mean, again, God bless the memory of David Dorn. What took place is just, I mean, it's absolutely... What happened to George Floyd, God bless him, he was murdered. And what happened to David Dorn, he also was murdered too. And if you are trying to say, notice something. You have the usual culprits and suspects who say, "Oh, Russia. Now they've turned the tune from Russia to Ukraine to peaceful protests, but they're not at the protests. Why is that? Because they know it's not peaceful. Because if they know that the average CNN, MSNBC, and left-leaning journalist, without the backdrop and without the Twitter handle, if they were caught in the mayhem, you better believe, and it doesn't matter who they are, you better believe that the person throwing the brick into the window wouldn't care who they were. And that's why they don't protest, because they're duplicitous and disingenuous. If everything going on, this crisis is about good versus bad, then why don't you side with good? Where are these voices saying, Trump is an authoritarian? Then go and march against Trump. And you'll be asking Trump to protect you in 2 seconds, or 1 hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours. When you have society breaking down, and you have retired St. Louis police captain who is a black man who lost his life, how on earth does this help any community? But the Democrats and media, all they want to do is ignore the carnage, focus on peaceful First Amendment rights, and then make everything into, well, Trump is an authoritarian. The average American doesn't buy it, though. The average American doesn't buy it. So, really quickly, Flynn Flynn lied to Pence about apparently about because we don't have confirmation from Pence about this, but apparently about the conversation that was perfectly legal with Sergei Kislyak, or the fact that he didn't speak to Sergei Kislyak or spoke to Sergei Kislyak. But the thing is, it wasn't Pence's business anyway. So Pence right then and there should have said, you know what, the incoming national security advisor doesn't have to inform me of everything he's doing. That was a very bizarre thing. I never understood why people latched onto that. It was mainly media said, "Oh, he lied to the vice president." They didn't even like the vice president. So it's pretty unbelievable when you see everything taking place, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to let's look at Tom Fitton really quickly. So Tom Fitton, we'll get to Tom Fitton, Greg Jarrett, and John Solomon. And so if you see anybody on Twitter trying to impersonate me, please go ahead and report that person to Twitter. Because I see, and my attorney already knows every single thing this Twitter handle is doing, impersonating me. But apparently he has hilariously wrong legal advice, and is just today took a hiatus very smartly in not tweeting and pretending he's me, but about 9 hours ago sent two absurd tweets pretending that he's me. Anyway, so if you see any person pretending to be me on Twitter, please report that person on Twitter. Thank you. You have, ladies and gentlemen, Remnant 0888. There's nobody. Capsuel, thank you. There's none of Hollywood is going after. Or none of Hollywood, and nobody on the left really wants to actually, film themselves peacefully protesting. Gee, I wonder why. But here you have, let's see. Judicial Watch had emails from Rod Rosenstein showing secret discussions with Mueller and media. The boss doesn't know. Rod, we're proud of you. Emails show John Huber praising Rosenstein prior to being tapped by Sessions to lead a fake probe into the Clinton Foundation, which, my God, ladies and gentlemen, I told you, do not take any message board seriously, and I was right about that. But here you have Emerald Robinson. Rod Rosenstein has a lot of very big problems. We have his DOJ emails because Judicial Watch got them, and they're incriminating, very incriminating. Rod authorized the Mueller probe with a scope memo. Today he testified, I don't know who exactly prepared it. That's obviously a lie. So he either committed perjury or who knows what exactly he did, but he didn't tell the truth. He did not tell the truth. So he organized a special counsel without having any evidence to do so. So this is Victoria Tenzing. She's fantastic. Poor Rod Rosenstein admitted to Senate he did not do independent investigation before appointing a special counsel. Gross negligence. Rod had responsibility to review facts. I did when at DOJ. He should publicly apologize to General Flynn, George Papadopoulos, and Carter Page. Pretty unbelievable. Evidence Russians worked with Clinton campaign and through them with President Obama and company to go after. So Richard Grinnell, the Russians, as they do in many countries, interfered in the U.S. election debate almost exclusively via social media and using propaganda. That whole thing, okay, there's no evidence the Russians interfered in the actual election voting. This distinction is important and purposely blurred by many. So the issue, I disagree, though, with Richard Grinnell on that. Number one, we have no way to quantify any votes altered because of Facebook ads or Twitter bots. But number two, the U.S. government is only highly to moderately confident. If you read the ODNI report, and nobody reads any government reports on the left, they say we're highly to moderately confident. James Clapper was not certain. So McCabe memo details how DOJ's Rosenstein proposed wearing a wire into the Oval Office to record President Trump. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch sued for records from the DOJ. So Andrew McCabe and Rod Rosenstein are going after each other. And so let's look at Andrew McCarthy. He's great. Andrew McCarthy. Then we'll go look at Greg Jarrett and then John Solomon. But so let's see. Rosenstein to Senator Mike Lee, I'm sure I read every page, but I was familiar with what was. I'm not sure I read every page, but I was familiar with what was in it. Plus, it had already been approved 3 times. That was just a reauthorization. If you can follow, current version is Rosenstein read FISAP, but turns out is not sure he read all of it and didn't really need to read it because you see he had been briefed about the Russia investigation, which he also doesn't seem to know much about. Rosenstein corrects Ted Cruz, saying he read it now. Now he says he reviewed it, but is not sure he read every word. Here's another. Did you know that Steele's primary source disavowed the dossier by the time Mueller wrote scope memo? Based on the dossier. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like he knew, he didn't care whether or not, this is the thing. You had a whole bunch of people in authority positions telling him that, yeah, we have to investigate. He didn't really care either way because he had the media by his side. So whatever. Candace, thank you. Thank you, Candace. Thank you very much. Thank you, Candace. Thank you. So, Candace, thank you so much. So, what they did was very simple. They were talking about a special counsel even before a special counsel took place. They were convinced that Trump must have worked with Russia because Andrew McCabe and James Comey and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and John Brennan and James Clapper and media were extremely suspicious. And then they blamed the DNC emails showing that Bernie Sanders was cheated, which forced Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign. They blamed that on Russian interference. Even CrowdStrike, which was, okay, CrowdStrike is outsourced by the Democratic Party. That is a conflict of interest. Why on earth would you even Why on earth would you even allow? Why would you allow a third-party tech firm outsourced by a political party to give information viewed as evidence to the United States government. How is that even possible that that took place? They would never allow if the tables were turned. They would say Trump is going after his direct political rival. Rod Rosenstein, first of all, Sessions, first of all, the whole, like, I understand people, like, they look at, that letter and they say, oh, well, it means more than just, no. People originally thought that it was super secret spy agents who were really good guys and good people within the United States government speaking through a message board, which is now, like, defunct or, Then they shifted to, okay, well, you know what? Sessions, okay, maybe he wasn't that good. Then they shifted to, oh, Rod Rosenstein was bad also. Then they shifted to, well, it's more of a movement. The whole point, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have the left now utilizing this for its advantage. Because they say, here we go, a bunch of nonsense. And the actual setup of President Trump, when you say, okay, this happened, Democrats and media says, oh, yeah, the message board nonsense. So, anyway, that's a whole other story. I did my best trying to tell people not to listen to any of that stuff. I did my best. But here, Rosenstein and Mike Lee, he didn't read any of the information, Rosenstein, before he signed the FISA, another FISA application, and before he signed off on a special counsel. Then the interesting thing, what he did, Lakiva, thank you. Lakiva, thank you. Remnant 0888. HA, keep the faith. If Trump loses, we're doomed. Doomed, and the USA is gone. I wish I could give more. Remnant 0888, thank you very much. Thank you just for always watching. If President Trump loses, we'll be fine in the long run, but I don't think he'll lose. My prediction has been since 2017, Remnant 0888, that President Trump wins. Democrats are playing. Lakiva, thank you again. Thank you, Eric H526. Greatly appreciated, Eric H526. Democrats are playing their usual game of they're playing their usual game of public relations, pure public relations nonsense. The problem is people are calling them out. People know what's going on. Rod Rosenstein today basically said, gosh, Sessions allowed me to start a special counsel, and we did so based on the belief that something could have taken place. That is what he admitted to. He did not have any reason. He did not have any reason to start the special counsel other than a whole lot of people who didn't like Trump wanted him to start the special counsel. That's it. Unirock is awesome. He did a great segment. On my debate with Jordan Sather, and he did a really, really great segment. So it was actually pretty awesome. So I believe I thanked him for that. But anyway, Nicoletta, thank you. You look, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at John Solomon. Everything is Everything is pretty obvious. They set up and framed President Trump. And they did so because they didn't even have any evidence. So we'll go. It's basically, there's more evidence to actually investigate Democrats, but see, the media is so, and this is the word to describe them, apoplectic all the time. Apoplectic, hysterical, I mean, just, all the time. So, McCabe accuses Rosenstein of being a willing accessory to the president and his men. So, this is, of course, so this is former FBI Director Andrew McCabe sharply criticized former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein on Wednesday, calling completely false Rosenstein's assertion that McCabe at one point temporarily withheld information from him pursuant to the Trump-Russia investigation. Don't worry, we're going to find out from John Durham. See, the thing that people don't understand is that this investigation is going to go past the election. Now, of course, if Clinton wins, because Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee, they're not going with Biden. The fact that anyone would think that Biden, whenever you watch the polls, oh yeah, he's 10 points up, you look like 30-something% are very enthusiastic and almost 70% for President Trump. No, actually more than that. So you look, and it's not even close. So Biden, 10-point lead. Where is that? That's in the Hill. This is important. You have 69% of voters saying they're very enthusiastic, and 34% they're saying they're very enthusiastic for Biden. And how do you think voter turnout's going to be? Remnant 0888, thank you. How do you think, thank you, Remnant 0888, thank you. How do you think, like what do you think they're going to do when, competition? What do you think they're going to do when they find out from John Durham and William Barr even more information? There are internal emails. They have internal emails. They have text messages. I don't think that President Trump has given everyone all the cards that he has. And this is going to, look, at the end of the day, President Trump's going to win. He's going to win re-election. He's going to win re-election because every single failed narrative has been fabricated. He never worked with Russia. The notion that, okay, let's say that Russia bought Facebook ads and Twitter bots. How many people did it influence? Nobody asks that question. How many people did it influence? How about nobody? People were upset that Bernie Sanders was cheated. He was cheated. And that wasn't Russia who cheated Bernie. It was Debbie Wasserman Schultz who was forced to resign. And Democrats are getting what they want now. They had record low unemployment, and they still thought Trump was the end of the world. Now look what's taking place, and they've taken their hysterical and apoplectic derangement issues to a new level, and a level we haven't seen ever, really, with a presidential candidate or a president. Not since, the mainstream, the way they view Trump is basically they're an extension of the Democratic Party. It's pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. But, so John Solomon, tells Judiciary Committee DOJ must take remedial action against misconduct in Russia probe. Remedial action. People are probably hoping for more than that. So you just get a curfew message. Every city has a curfew. So you kind of ask yourself, well, if everything's so peaceful, why does every city have a curfew? Lyle Budd, liberal tears flowing. I can't wait to vote President Trump in 2020. Lyle, thank you. I can't wait either. And millions of people who Democrats needed, they're not going to get. So Lyle Budd, thank you as always. Mitchell Smith! Watched an interview with Gorka and Solomon. Solomon gave a prelude that first action by Barr will be a plea deal with individuals for state's evidence. That would be great. That would be great. Anything they have to do to get some big fish, Mitchell Smith, they need to get a big fish. And you ask, why is Clinton going to be nominee? Because this completely inoculates Madam Secretary from the current investigation, whether it's the ongoing email server probe with top secret intelligence. But there's so much going on. Rod Rosenstein, obviously, the whole story, it takes a back seat to everything taking place right now. You have a lot of people who live within the realm of hyperbole, and they lack just basic logical reasoning skills. And if they're not interested in something, they don't care whether it happened or not. See, Democrats are going to lose for a litany of reasons. One reason is that you had President Obama's administration that set up and framed Trump. Whether or not anyone changed their votes because of Facebook ads from Russia, you have no evidence that Putin paid the Russian Facebook ads. Just like you have no evidence that simply indicting Russian intelligence officials based on CrowdStrike assessments isn't evidence. So when you have literally money flowing from Uranium One lobbyists and Uranium One Foundation, Uranium One and executives into the Clinton Foundation, they say, well, there's no big deal. It's no problem. They were just altruistic. I mean, it's like in your face. They're like, so what? It means nothing. Correlation does not imply causation. But there was nothing to even correlate with Trump. And they still investigated him. There was something you could correlate in terms of a litany of pay-to-play transactions with Madam Secretary. And you get what? UBS gave money, Boeing gave money, countries gave money for weapons deals. A whole bunch of you have $10 billion, almost $9.5 billion or so raised in Haiti. I wrote about that in the Huffington Post with a fantastic journalist, Daddy Cherry, Haitian-born journalist, who stated that the people of Haiti only got 3% of the close to $10 billion raised. Where did the money go? Then you get the defense. Well, they didn't steal the money. Yeah, but where did it go? They raised the money, which is just as important. The Clintons live on knowing they benefit tremendously from knowing who has all the money to give. And that's Biden has $95 million. President Trump, $97 million in his campaign. President Trump has $255 million. And his voters, 34% of whom are very enthusiastic. With Clinton, she might have 45% of her voters very enthusiastic. Because they will orchestrate it as, oh my God, Who could have ever predicted this? This is so amazing. Oh my goodness, this is so wonderful. She's going to become nominee. Who could have ever predicted this? So, Rod Rosenstein, the man who signed one of the FISAs and appointed Mueller, faces a long-awaited... So, did he offer to wear the president? Oh, so the hilarious thing is that Andrew McCabe is making a Watergate reference, of course, because his wife was given hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe and Democratic PACs to, which of course is a conflict of interest. Then you have him lying, but getting away with it, lying under oath numerous times. And let's see. Greg Jarrett, Fox News. So hold on one second. So let's see. Rosen testifies to Congress, I would not have signed FISA warrants. So that's huge. So this is GregJarrett.com. Former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein testified in Congress that he understood how faulty the evidence was. He would not have... that had he understood how faulty evidence was, he would not have signed off on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant to renew spy on former Trump campaign associate Carter Page. If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the application? Rosenstein replied, no, I would not. So there you go. There you go. That's pretty much everything you need to know. Rosenstein continued to defend himself, however, saying, every application I approved appeared to be justified based on the facts it alleged. The facts it alleged. A fact doesn't have to be alleged. A fact is a fact. This was the nonsense it alleged. Instead, he put the blame on the FBI, which was supposed to be following protocol to ensure that every fact was verified. No, see, Rosenstein is a part of everything. He was a part of everything. Look, they had a fun time setting up and framing Trump. Problem was, Trump fights back. He's not like Bernie Sanders, who just goes ahead and gets cheated and then does nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. So he would not have signed the FISA application. Why is that important? Because all of these FISA applications and investigations and special counsels and memos and high to moderate confidence assessments, they all paint a gigantic picture utilized by media and by President Obama's administration to go after Trump. At the end of the day, it was all nonsense. But good luck trying to... First of all, they don't care. The left does not care at all. They really don't care at all. They're fine. They're totally fine with Trump being set up or not set up, because their lives are predicated upon Russian. Like, the Russian interference is like the Bible to them. The problem is they can't even quantify Russian interference, and they don't even know that it directly correlates to something they don't want to admit, which was that they cheated Bernie Sanders. All of this is trying to mask the actual criminal behavior of Democrats against themselves. Rosenstein said, I asked the special counsel to review each criminal allegation on the FBI considered relevant to the Russia investigation. So, yeah, he asked the special counsel. The special counsel is composed of every person who didn't like Trump. So, it's pretty unbelievable. He would not have signed the FISA warrant, but see, again, the FISA warrant is just one. It's just one of it's just one of many. What they did was the following. They lost the election. And then instead of simply saying, okay, wow, we lost the election, how do we regroup? They say, we didn't really lose the election. It was stolen from us. It was stolen from us because the Russians interfered. The word is a euphemism that means pretty much anything that harmed the Democratic Party's electoral chances. Oh, they interfered, and this was interference. We don't know how many votes were altered, but they interfered somehow, those meddling kids, like a Scooby-Doo cartoon. And we have no clue what the interference entails in terms of votes being altered. But we do know, ladies and gentlemen, that Bernie Sanders was cheated and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign and other DNC officials were forced to resign. We also know that the Steele dossier was purchased by Clinton and the DNC. This is an obvious conflict of interest. This is not any conspiratorial type of thing. This is an obvious conflict of interest. But they don't care. They view it to be all this conspiratorial nonsense. That's what they view all of this to be. Anything that Trump says, they view... Trump didn't get us into a war, and he didn't get us into a recession. Don't say that Trump called this this was a self-induced, all the smartest people in the room said we have to shut down society. And you had Democratic governors the most eager to shut down their entire states. And then if other countries were doing it, so what? That's one reason why you shouldn't have a non-governmental organization that has no allegiance to any, or allegiances to some countries, not to others, have everyone do the same thing, because if they're wrong, millions upon millions of people in the United States and around the world lose their income and their livelihood. This is infinitely more immoral than having healthy people work and, taking care of people who are at risk, which, by the way, the governor of New York did not do. So, it's pretty unbelievable that all of this is taking place. But again, I think the Rod Rosenstein, the Rod Rosenstein saga has a lot more to do with the Rod Rosenstein issue has a great deal more to do with John Durham and William Barr than it does a lot more to do with John Durham and William Barr than it does anyone else. Because everyone here already knows that they set up and framed Trump and that Rosenstein was a part of it. Everyone already knows this. By the way, in the pinned comment, please go ahead and share also. It's below in the pinned comment, my Jerusalem Post article, Why Democrats Embrace Anti-Semitism and Anti-Israel Bias. Please go ahead and share that. Whenever you hear the left talk about, oh, it's peaceful, it's almost certainly not always peaceful. And that's the issue. The left, Democrats, media, liberals, they cannot see any nuance when they're leveling accusations. They demand nuance and context when they receive accusations. And they have to paint everything as good versus bad, good versus bad. So President Trump he's going up against the American people. No, he's not. He stated 1,000,000 times that peaceful protests are just fine. He stated 1,000,000 times. Thank you, Eric H526. Thank you so very much. He stated 1,000,000 times he's all for peaceful protesters. What he stated, though, was that he's not going to allow a small group of individuals to just tear down society. So, Eric H526, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much what's taking place. I'm going to do a segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel right now, and I'll do a segment on H.A. Goodman's hyperbole translator, which will explain a whole bunch of issues pertaining to Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and how they're all twisting everything to talk about, and how media in general is twisting everything to talk about how President Trump is going after all Americans. Exactly. So who is Milton? Exactly. The schadenfreude that Democrats have, not going to, whether it was about Russia or Ukraine and impeachment or Stormy or Michael Cohen or now it's before it was the pandemic. Notice how it's interesting. Notice how they don't care about the pandemic anymore. It was warranted enough to care about it, so you wouldn't be you couldn't work, ladies and gentlemen, for 3 months, but now they just totally don't care about it, and you could kiss social distancing goodbye now. Give me your thoughts below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I will be back, of course, later tonight with a live stream. And ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right after this, ladies and gentlemen. In about 10, 15 minutes, I'll have a segment up. I'll be back tonight, probably around 9:30, 10 p.m. Pacific tonight. Thanks, everybody. God bless. And thank you to my super chat. And share my articles in the Huffington Post. Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. That's below. Share that in the pinned comment. Share that. If you're still on Twitter and Facebook, please share it. I am definitely not. But also share my Times of Israel article. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tonight around 10 p.m. Pacific on this channel. Thank you.